For you on the markets, ringing the opening bell in the corner of Wall and Broad, and look at that. Little bit of good news for you. The Dow up 33 points, minute into trading. Markets responding to these dismal unemployment numbers, but looking pretty good, notwithstanding these. We're going to keep our eyes on the big board as we see major sways one way or the other. We will bring it to you. Bill?
Hey, Megan, back here at the billboard. Just want to try and, let's go ahead and correct this, slide this over here, ask and pray for the technology gods to work with us. No plans to put troops on merchant ships. That from the Pentagon in response to a congressman's call for military action out for the White House. 2 pirate attacks on American sailors, and it could be just the tip of the iceberg. We'll make this go wide. Come on, work with us here. We'll put it in motion, too, and show you just a little bit of what's happening out there. Dozens of cargo carriers around the world either hijacked or attacked in the past 4 months. This is on our side of the world. But look off the coast of Somalia. These are either attacks or attempts. Attacks in pink, attempts in yellow. And they just line up one after the other off the coast of Somalia. I'll squeeze this back for you and bring this. So you gonna work?
Billboard's testy today.
You know what? I tell you, it's it must be feeling that nice air outside. That ain't working.
Bill.
We're talking about a patch of open sea 4 times the size of Texas, more than 1 million square miles, and the coastline of Somalia alone, 1,900 miles long. That's roughly the distance from Maine to North Florida on the East Coast. And the Navy says it would take more than 60 warships just to patrol the shipping lanes. 60 warships, and that's the heart of the argument now, Megan, for what they want to do next.
And more on that, because it was during America's Newsroom yesterday that we first heard Congressman Mike Kaufman ask for those armed troops on merchant ships. And as Bill just mentioned, the Pentagon is already saying no. So we want to follow up with Congressman Kaufman. He joins us live now from Denver. He's my guest now. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so what is it exactly you think should happen?
You know, well, the administration sees this as a law enforcement problem and not a military problem. I think that's a fuzzy-headed approach. And this is over 1 million square miles of ocean. We don't have the naval resources to patrol this area effectively. We're trying to go after a fly with a sledgehammer when we really need just a fly swatter. And putting a small detachment of U.S. Marines or sailors aboard these U.S. flagged merchant vessels as they're going through these waters would solve this problem. We did this in World War II. We can do this now. This is a military problem. It's not a law enforcement problem.
Here's my question for you then. Does it really make sense to divert any military resources to these cargo ships to combat these, pirates when, we're already fighting 2 wars? We've got slim military resources available. Should we really be diverting them from the war on terror to the war on pirates?
We're already diverting significant military resources to this area to patrol it. And so actually it would take fewer military resources to place a small number of military personnel on these U.S. flagged merchant ships than we're currently using.
How many you're talking about? How many military would be on each cargo ship?
Yeah, I think, well, again, it's only U.S. flagged cargo ships. We're talking no more than a squad of military personnel with crew-served weapons to be able to engage these craft as they approach these ships and demonstrate harmful intent.
Why is that necessary? Why don't we just arm the folks who are on the cargo ship?
I think that there's some apprehension to their doing that. We have folks that are trained and that can temporarily be placed on these ships. I think if they're willing to do that, I think that's fine. But I think we've got people trained, and also we're talking about the deployment of military weapons. And so these are crew-served weapons, and so the question is do we want civilian crews with these weapons? That's certainly a decision. Why do they have to have
those weapons? Why can't we just arm these good men and I guess women on some of these cargo ships with good old American, firearms, just like folks have in their homes in this country, at least in some states, to protect against? The mere knowledge that they had that could be a deterrent to these pirates, rather than diverting military resources.
Well, I think the problem is we need more than just the standard weapons that civilians carry.
Really? Why? If you got 20 guys on board the Maersk Alabama, each one of them with a firearm, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be military grade, with a firearm, and you got 4 pirates pulling up, and our 20 guys go over to their 4 guys with their automatic weapons. I understand the difference between an automatic weapon and a handgun. Don't you think that they're going to be a little deterred to attack a U.S. ship?
we need to send a signal. We need to send the signal that piracy is simply not acceptable, that the attacks on U.S. flagged merchant vessels are an act of war. It requires a military response, I think, at this point, and I think that we would send that signal by placing small detachments of U.S. military forces on those ships, as we did in World War II, on a temporary basis until this situation subsides.
Now, there are some who want to take it even further than you do. There's Ike Skelton, who's the Armed Services Committee chairman in the House, and what he wants to do is, he wrote President Obama a letter, same as you, and he argued the pirates need to be confronted at their land bases in Somalia, which a lot of people have said, sort of, you go to the head of the snake and try to cut that off, and that'll solve the problem. What's your take on that solution?
Well, they're all up and down the coast of Somalia, number one. And number two, I think that would unnecessarily expose our own military personnel to greater risk in terms of doing those attacks. You'd have collateral damage in terms of civilian casualties and potentially the killing of hostages. And so I think that, again, let's use a fly swatter against a fly, and just have a very small detachment of U.S. military forces posted on these U.S. flagships as they're traversing these waters, like we did in World War II.
Well, understood. The Pentagon is saying right now that there are no plans for that, but we'll see whether there's a change of heart on it. Congressman Mike Coffman, thanks so much for being on with your views.
Thank you so much for having me.
All the best.
22 minutes now before the hour. Thing wasn't working back there, was I? Just want to kick it. I just want to
frustrating, right? Of all things